Next slide. Like I said to begin with, this is a 15-year program. I don't know that it's well defined when the 15 years starts. But when I say it requires patience, you know, this is a 15-year ongoing program, and it seems like all along that way, there's going to be opportunities to add in restoration elements to the remedy. And so maybe it's going to start small now, but I'd say it's like 15 years of people going, wow, we could add this to the remedy. So, and I also said requires patience because, you know, here's the 1898 map. This all started being contaminated a long time ago and over a long, long period. And cleanups take a while. I mean, the contamination is fairly ubiquitous, and this is, stormwater is definitely the biggest hurdle to overcome. Groundwater and groundwater effects, as they're happening today, are being fairly well controlled. I have a lot of hope for that. That looks pretty good. So. And then, you know, I guess just pointing out, of course, this is Harrison Avenue. Here it says the Parrot Smelter. And then this is probably the diggings east. The other thing I'd point out, so the Metro storm drain comes down along here somewhere. Here's Blacktail Creek coming in. But I'd point out, those are all wetland areas. I mean, they were likely wetland areas, and I say that not just because of this map, but when you go drill in these areas, you get down a ways and you go through this much black organic soil. It's down a ways, and it looks like, it was called in LAO, they called it a peat layer. It wasn't really a peat layer, it's just highly organic, rich silts. So it was probably a wetlands for a long time before we arrived here and started digging copper. You know, we're making decisions now that we're going to have to live with. And I really believe a key always to managing a site that's going to be managed forever is good education program, especially for the younger generation. They need to, when they leave Butte, they need to understand what's going on here and what's happened here and how it's working. And, you know, some of those people will want to be the next stewards of this thing. So that's my end.
Joe, can we go back 4 slides, please? Sure. Maybe 5. Keep going right there. Go back. Give us your interpretation of what that means, because I've got a thought in my head. I want to make sure I'm not thinking it wrong.
That's what we're reading your mind right now.
Yeah, exactly.
How many layers in there?
Yeah, I don't know, you know, and I didn't write it. To me, it means that, yeah, the remedy, it actually would indicate, wouldn't it, that remedy needs to, well, no, not that it needs to get going. And I mean, it is going, the groundwater part's kind of been going, and it's just been hard getting the stormwater part going. But no, it means it's difficult because most of the time we're working on remedy behind closed doors, and I guess I guess in my mind, I guess it calls for a little bit more openness along the way, so that before people hit the ground with the bulldozers, that somebody would have ample opportunity to say, "Wow, we could add this to that."
Joe,
Yes.
would you mind reading that one time for the recorder on the table? Would you mind?
No, I don't mind.
Okay.
The EPA will work with the trustee in the design and implementation of the remedial action to coordinate the implementation of the selected remedy with restoration actions to avoid duplication of effort and unnecessary costs, and to maximize benefits to the area where feasible and practical, and where coordination will not result in substantial delays to remedy and implementation.
Thank you. See, and what I do here when I read this one is I go back to Commander's Intent, famous speech, which is almost that last clause, where coordination might result in substantial delays to remedy implementation. Well, if remedy isn't getting done and we step up to do a restoration, can we read this clause to say EPA can veto that until they finish whatever they're doing with remedy? Such that we don't interfere with what might ever become of remedy.
How do you restore without remedy?
I don't disagree, but if remedy is held back, for whatever reason, ongoing negotiations, et cetera, if we come up with a plan, can EPA veto that, saying, well, we're still looking at that, and remedy might do that, so you can't? Can this phrase be read that way?
No.
Can I,
That's legal.
Okay, thank you, okay.
can with my beautiful rose-colored glasses, can we interpret this to mean that remedy should be done with restoration and they should be done together?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what that says.
Yeah,
That's exactly what that says.
and that this is a golden opportunity?
Yeah, I think so.
The idea of having a sacrifice space that nobody inhabits, that contributes to all these negative elements into the creek, or a sacrifice space that nobody inhabits, that somehow limits that, limits those negative things getting to the creek. I mean, I'll go for that water, I'll go for that wetland area every time. I know there are other proposals on the board to make that living space in a different way, but that's the first time that this is the first time, based on your presentation, that I've considered kind of a restoration of the historic wetlands as a remedy, or at least a partial remedy of some of the problems that we're getting out of Buffalo Gulch and the Memphis Front.
And I mean, I think it's gonna take a little bit of creativity to get there, but and it's not simple, but it's still, I think, a very viable option. I mean, like I said, at the least, it could be concrete lined basins, and then it would be a sacrifice area. I think if it looks like that pond, it's hardly a sacrifice area, especially considering what it looks like right now. I mean, you're sacrificing, I guess, the ability to have a commercial area there or something.
First order, have you done a takeoff of what it would take to do these things in that area?
No. You guys good? Questions from the?
Are your slides gonna be available either on the internet or by email or? Can see
It's a 5 megabyte PDF. I can provide it. Actually, maybe I'll let NRD figure out how to get
That's
it
what I
to
was
you.
thinking.
We can put it on the BNRC's website.
Okay, so I'll put out both the PDF and the PowerPoint.
Would it make sense to couple it with the streaming YouTube video that's
On the freeway.
Yeah, you could.
Well, I'll make the audio available on our website.
Okay.
No, that's what value, right? There's the culvert.
Trav?
Joy, I enjoyed your talk. I have just a question on the slide before the Kelly output that you had, the money, that you had, your dissolved oxygen at one point was higher than your total, or your dissolved copper was higher than your total copper. And I just
It's a
wondered
good catch, actually,
how that
Charles.
happened.
It just happened. I don't know, it may be, sometimes actually they get switched in the lab or switched in the field. Or maybe it's just that they didn't actually get quite the same